Dakota, thanks for coming onto Social Dream Machine. I'm excited to talk to you and kind of tear apart how you made your first dollar online. For those that don't know you, could you just introduce yourself, what your journey is?
Yes. Howdy, boys and girls, potatoes, potatoes. My name is Dakota Robertson, and I show people how to grow and monetize their personal brand by basically writing cool stuff on social media and adding on business.
Yeah, you had a pretty heavy journey too. I know that your mom had some drug problems, and then you kind of share that pretty openly. And then I believe you worked at Domino's for a bit, and now you've scaled a ghostwriting agency and like a training to like 250K a month. That seems like just pretty bananas. Could you break apart some of that?
Yeah. So to clarify, it's not 250K a month. I did 250K in a month, but
Got
it's
it.
not reoccurring. So like every launch is like a bit different, but yeah.
That's still
Um,
really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of crazy with the contrast, but yeah, I mean, I don't come from money. I grew up more lower class. Um, yeah, definitely frugal family growing up, and we, you know, I was definitely taught the value of money or like to save it, and then it's interesting to see the contrast now because I view money as a tool and not something that is very scarce like I did growing up. I view it as just like like a tool where you buy back time, you buy back energy, focus, whatever, and then with the with that you can use your resources to accumulate more money to um increase that feedback loop and get
Mm.
more returns from it. Like I just see everything as leverage now. That's like the big lesson I've learned over the years. Like if you sure you put in a shit ton of time and energy in building your audience, but then over time that compounds and you grow more and more leverage
Mm.
because you're not only reaching more people because it's exponential growth, but you're also nurturing the people that do follow you. There's so many people that said they followed me for years, and then it was only until some specific moment that they decided to buy. So there's just different aspects of leverage. And a podcast that changed my life was Naval Ravikant's podcast with Joe Rogan, where he talks about that. Made me view life in a completely different way. But it's interesting to see a lot of the lessons from that podcast. I got to experience it. Like first I heard them, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then I experienced it. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey. I mean, started by writing content, then I started writing content for other people, and then I scaled that up, and then I showed people how I did that and built a business off that. So there's been different evolutions, and then I'm sure in the future I'll show creators how to run programs like a coaching program and monetize that. But right now I'm just focused on my coaching program.
Did you have any limiting beliefs like when you did like your first, I guess, sale as like just like as a I don't know if it was like just an article that you wrote for ghostwriting or like the first thing that you sold? How did you know what to charge, and were you scared or terrified at that time?
Yeah, so this is where coaching played a big part in my journey. So for the first like 9 months on social media, I was just consuming books, courses, YouTube videos. And yeah, it was helpful for learning how to grow. But it wasn't until I actually paid it's like $6,000 or $8,000 to my first mentor, Dan Coe, that I actually was like, oh shit, like
Beast.
I gotta make this. Yeah, I gotta like get my ass in gear because I just paid a significant amount of money. I think it was $6,000. I had $8,000 in my bank, and it just really lit a fire under my ass. But it was really useful because he was in the position I wanted to be in, and he gave me the roadmap. Hey, if you just execute on all of this stuff that I tell you to execute on, then you're gonna get the result. And hiring a mentor was very useful for me because I didn't have to second guess myself. Like I knew, oh, if I just follow what he says, I'm gonna get the result.
Right.
It's just a matter of me putting in the work and doing what he says.
Hmm.
And so it eliminated a lot of the self doubt or limiting beliefs because I knew if I had challenges, I could go to him and he would help
Hmm.
me. Or a big one too, if you try to figure it out all on your own, which a lot of people can. And I think I could have too, but I think it was way more efficient because I wasn't wondering, oh, is this the right move? It was like, no, this guy's done what I want to do. I'm just going to execute on it. And it just eliminated a lot of those limiting beliefs. But 100%, man, throughout the whole journey, I've had limiting beliefs where I'm just scared to get rejected on a sales call. I don't know if I can fulfill for a client. Um, just handling a lot more work on my plate and stretching my stress tolerance. So there's always going to be something that comes up. And that's why I like business, because it's the ultimate form of self improvement. I mean, if you don't make money, if you don't get clicks, if you don't grow your following, it's a reflection of you and your skill set. It's black and white. If you don't get the outcome you want, it's because you just aren't leveled up enough in some area, and that's something you can improve, and that's something that's in your control. So it forces you to level up, because if you don't, then you don't eat,
Hmm.
so it's
Yeah,
really
I think
motivating.
I think it helps too. Like I'm building a house in Asheville, North Carolina, and it's like there's a significant nut that I need to make to afford the house or whatever. And I didn't realize that it was going to cost that much at the beginning. It's going to cost me like 650K for like the house. I'm like, I need to go make some money to pay for the house or whatever, not including the lot. So I think that having that big kind of audacious goal though helps me stay focused when I feel like if I don't feel like reaching out to someone or like getting rejected, I'm like, well, I need to I actually frame it as my dog too. Like Dolomite needs some carrots. So like he needs to eat. So I need to like go work for him, So I don't know. It's just like one of those weird things. And I know that you and Dan have this philosophy of like creating every day or you die, which I kind of agree with. I feel like people, unless you're already kind of in the zone and you're not scared to do it anymore, I feel like once it's like snowboarding, once you've gone and you have the equipment, like you cannot go for a couple years and probably ride. Not that that's a good idea for the creator business at all, but in general, you've kind of gone through the reps of like the psychological barriers of it all, the imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's something that you just got to do, and you got to push through the discomfort. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that keeps people from seeing results is not the skill set, but the mindset. Like, you can pretty much learn any skill. Like me, I was shitting my pants on sales calls my first,
Same.
what, however many. I was like, I'd physically shake before them. I had to like get myself together. I taped a piece, like multiple pieces of paper behind my laptop so I could read the script, like the different parts of the script I was supposed to hit. Sounded awful, worst thing ever. But it was like, I just kind of like you, where I knew the alternative. If I didn't make this work, I would work a shitty job that I did not like, where I felt purposeless and just pretty much be broke. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to build a business that I love, that I enjoy, I find fulfilling, it pays me well. And it was just a huge motivator having knowing what's on the other side. So I think a lot of people, I think they have a very comfortable life, even though they have higher aspirations. So when they go through something that's hard or very challenging, like trying to build and monetize their personal brand, it gets hard and like, ah, shit. And they have this, like, they're comfortable with the whatever they had before, and they just go back to that. But if you know, like, if you don't do this, you are SOL, and like you know the reality that you have to face, it's like, oh shit, hell no.
Yeah,
And
I
you
get
just
that.
make it work no matter what. So it's very powerful. It's a kind of a good reframe to view challenges in your life as just fuel to get shit done.
Yeah, I went through a lot of like I got a divorce and my ex like posted a picture of like some dude that she was with online like shortly after that. So that was really awkward for me.
Oh,
And then on top of that, I just moved to Austin from Bend, Oregon, and I got like canned at my job. But yeah, at that time or whatever. And I just remember like just being like crap. Like I just got to this new place that was like my main source of income, and it kind of just shook me. Like where I was just like, okay, like I can't really rely on companies to like be my mind essentially. I need to like go make my own money and like create my own value out there, because otherwise I felt like if I didn't, then I'd be stuck in these situations. And I have like friends actually that take these sales jobs and they'll be in they'll be like $150,000 sales job or whatever, but then they'll be like canned in like a year, and they go through this process every like it's like they're not building an asset essentially. They're just sort of buying their time for how long they can, and then until they get canned and it happens again. And I kind of saw that cycle going for like a lot of people, and I didn't really see that any industry is safe. And I think I've even seen some of your videos too, where like even like you pay all this money to go to college, and then like you make like 50 grand a year, and even getting those jobs is like super impossible. So it's like, why not, like, if you're gonna do something fucking hard, might as well make a bunch of money while doing it.
Yeah, man, 100%. And it's you're gonna see the AI era come about, and it's gonna get more and more prevalent for many people. And I'm not saying, everyone should be an entrepreneur or start a personal brand, but I mean, it's something to think about if you want to build leverage. I mean, look at all like the big business people, like they're all building a personal brand now. And what that does is like it builds that connection with people. It puts you in a category of one, just crazy amounts of leverage. So it's a good position to be in if you can build your brand online, because it's like, I don't know, man. It's gonna get crazy, I think.
Yeah, I heard Sam Altman was gonna. He predicted the first $1 billion like one person business as a result of like AI. And I think that that's fascinating to see. Like he's in his little friend circles on the internet just talking about it, I guess. So yeah, I think that it's going to happen. Tell me a little bit about the cohort too, because I'm in your cohort, Growth Ghost, and I absolutely love it. You guys have done a great job. I appreciate the hospitality, and you guys have really helped me to like think differently the way I like write content. Like I didn't use any of those frameworks that you've taught me and kind of your Notion files or whatever, so that they've all been very helpful. And another thing that really resonated too is like storytelling and then having like a stake to the story. Cause I realize that I see a lot of people that are like just only talking about like their highs. They're like kind of Lambos and like popping bottles or whatever, but they're not really talking about like how they've had a panic attack in front of like a sales team or whatever and felt like shit and then got fired or whatever. And at the end of the day, like those are the stories that people like are like relatable. It's because everyone's just trying to flex and like be like so fucking cool or whatever. And to me, I feel like that's a mistake, because you have no arc to your story if like there's no tension and release. Any sort of good art has like tension, release, build, and then like some sort of release or whatever, that type of thing. So I don't know, how did you get into that? And I think it's super cool that you guys are doing it. And I love the community aspect of it for one too, because what ends up happening is that you see other people in the community pushing themselves like that had like barely any followers and getting like 50 comments on LinkedIn. And then I'm just sitting there going, dude, I need to up my game. Like it's so inspiring to see everyone do that. And then everyone just sharing their wins. It's just like a vibe of like really
Yeah.
positive people.
Yeah, that's why I like the cohort model. Like I tried doing it as just an open coaching program before, and I think I stopped after a month because it's so much better when everyone starts on the same foot. They're going through the same lessons together. It's like you're going on a journey together, and I just find the community is a lot stronger that way. Um, but yeah, like my thing with content is I think so many people, at least what I see, like the social media gurus, like you just use this template and just post or just give value, bro. And it's just like you don't separate yourself from anybody. What I try to do is teach the first principles of what I know with writing and content, psychology, and storytelling, and I try to give it to like the bare minimum or like the bare essentials, and that way you have the foundations and you can create content that's tailored to you. Because if I try to write like Dan Coe or whatever other big creator, like it's not like I'm just a copy. I'm a carbon copy. So I try to like give people the foundation so they can discover their own style. And it's like, I'll be honest, like it's pretty hard to teach people. It's hard to teach a lot of beginners how to grow and monetize a personal brand, because like taking someone from 1 to 10 is way easier than taking someone from 0 to 1,
Mm.
because there's so much shit you got to teach them, and you got to do it in a way that actually they understand, and also overcome the mindset stuff for people. There's so many people that struggle with the mindset stuff when they're beginners, and so it's like most of the time you're just like trying to help them overcome self-limiting beliefs, which is interesting. But it's really rewarding when you start to see a click for people, and then they start to apply it, and then they start to get like crazy results. Like some of the best messages I get are when people like, "Hey, I just quit my job or I dropped out of college." It's kind of funny, but it makes me happy to see. Um, but yeah, it's been a crazy learning experience for me, learning how to run a program because I've only been doing it for 1 year, but I've already learned so much, and I'm always trying to like improve the fulfillment. Like this cohort, I put in a client success manager, Thomas, and I think that's been a game changer because I can help people overcome challenges and hold them more accountable. And then the next one, I'm already planning like different things I can incorporate to increase retention and all, like help people understand topics better, looking, okay, what can I cut, what can I add to make it better. So yeah, it's been cool. Definitely challenging, like a lot of work behind the scenes, but it's been, yeah, it's been crazy. And I love the people that come through too, because we screen everybody, we don't really let anybody in, and we make sure it's a good fit. So yeah, it's been cool. I always meet really cool people through the program, and I know everyone like intermingles, and some people become really good friends and form businesses together.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually was talking to one of the other cohort members that he said he was in the restaurant business. He's living in Germany, and then he's from Italy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but basically he'd mentioned that he's getting away from being a waiter and he wants to start writing online. So that was really inspiring to me too, because I was like, dude, like this guy's like he sees this path or whatever. And I think it's dope when you see that people are like thinking kind of differently and like opening their eyes to like other ways of making money. And I also read that the creator economy is supposed to hit like a half trillion by 2027, I believe. So it just sort of seems like this is the only way forward. And if like you have to get in front of a camera or like a microphone or write and look stupid for a while until you get the hang of it, it's worth the thing. But how do you think people get over the fear of like looking dumb and just like overthinking? Because I see that a lot with people, like to the point where I don't know. I feel like some people just have this like defeatist energy about them for some reason.
It's community, I think. Like I think it's very important to find other people that are on the same path, and that way you can hold each other accountable, you can confide in them, share wins. It's really encouraging. Also, like, not everybody makes it. The mindset thing's huge for people, and there's people just can't get over it, and that's just the name of the game. Um, but yeah, it's I think community is a huge one, and then also how big is your pain point or your desire? Like, how bad do you actually want it? For me, my pain point was bigger than my fear of rejection or failure,
Hmm.
so I was willing to do anything to make it work. And I think there's some type of people that need to go through hard times or need to see the reality, like, oh, like my situation isn't going to magically change. I have to actually take my own life into my own hands and make this shit work.
Hmm.
And when you have that drive, it's a huge edge. Um, but like, yeah, different stuff works for different people. But for me, it's been, yeah, community and a big pain point.
How did you get good at writing? Just a lot of laps, and it was it Dan that helped out, or I know that you did some ghostwriting for him as well. So like, kind of unpack that.
For me, it was like I took a lot of courses, but Twitter was main way I got better because it forced me to refine my thoughts and ideas in 280 characters. So most of writing is just simplifying what you're trying to say. So if you can convey something in the shortest amount of characters possible, then you already got most of the battle done. It's like you need a good idea, you need to articulate it in a very clear and simple way, and then throw in some personality. It's really like that's kind of the secret sauce. And I think the first part is just learning how to strip your writing down to the simplest form, and then you can worry about, okay, how do I add personality, how do I find really popular ideas or ideas that resonate with people. But it really like starts with the simplification, and what it does as well is it forces you to think concisely and simplify things. Like that's a big thing too, is like not even just the physical writing, but the ideas too. Like I can't drone on and on about a certain topic. I have to simplify it. And the way I do that is with analogies, metaphors, different stuff like that. So it's also simplifying concepts. And yeah, I've written I think 40,000 tweets probably, so it's
Wow.
definitely helped my writing.
How do
I
you
don't
add
even know how many newsletters.
how do you add
Sorry.
personality to it as well? Like, how do you think about that? Like, how would you recommend that to someone that's newer, or like to add personality? I remember actually you made a comment. I think I was watching one of the videos in the course about Sean Anthony using like business or biz instead of like business and things like that. So like how do you think that people develop that style, or what do you suggest?
For me, I write how I talk, and for the most part, I mean, sometimes I don't like, it's more like, I don't know, my writing persona, but I also lean into my my edge or my personality more. I'm not super professional. I'm not very politically correct, and I just lean into that more when I write. I like to be funny. I like to use silly analogies. I like to use crazy stories. Um, but what I'll do, actually, a good trick I use is I will read what I write out loud, and my buddy Nick, who I lived with for a bit, he always made fun of me for it, because as I'm typing, I'll read
Is
it out
Nick Verge? Is that
to
right?
process it. Yeah, Nick Verge. But I'll process it by reading it out, and I'll also hear how it sounds. And if it sounds weird, I just won't use it. But it's just allows me to write in a way that sounds more authentic to me. But that was a big one. But also, I find if you're beginning, is looking at the styles of other creators and not copying it, but taking pieces of it and using it in your own writing. So let's say I like Dan Coe's simplicity. Okay, cool. I like Alex Hermosi's how he uses analogies. Great. I like Alex Becker's humor. Great. So I take those three things and I try combining them together. And over time, it's just you're gonna develop your own style. You're like, oh, I like, being this way when I write or whatever. And it's just a lot of repetition.
What about the newsletters too, in general? Because I think the newsletters are. I'm starting to write the newsletters, and I'm only used to writing like kind of short form content. So how long? Like, how do you approach that? I guess, and like I've actually been looking over the newsletter notes in the course, but I think that I think that could be a really powerful thing too. Is because if you do the math on it, like if you have like 10,000 subscribers and 5% of them are going to buy a product from you, that's like $500, and it's a $500 product. You just made $250,000 off a newsletter. So like it's crazy to think about this, but how do you think about newsletters? And I didn't realize the power of them until maybe probably you guys and just Justin Welsh and Dan Coe and all those guys too.
Yeah, I mean, when I started my newsletter, I was in the same boat. I was used to writing short form and I didn't know how to do it. But I just did it anyways. I just like, I'm just going to write and just get better over time. And I never missed a week. I always did it every single week. I've been doing that for 2 something years now. And I think it's been one of the best things for my writing, because it forces me to write about something in a way where I have to actually understand. Like, I have to carry an idea, I have to stretch it. So I can articulate an idea in under 280 characters, but to stretch an idea and actually expand upon topics in an easy to understand way that's entertaining, that for me is a lot more challenging, but it's a lot more fun. And I think it improves your writing way more. And not even just your writing, but your understanding of the concept, because you're forced to keep your entire newsletter cohesive and explain the concept. I think newsletters are super powerful because you're not it's not just like a tweet where it's like, oh, I like this, and then move on. Someone's actually taking the time to read your content and step into your world and understand your ideas. And the way I'm viewing content and social media, the more time someone spends consuming your content, the more headspace you take up.
Mm,
Like if I consume a tweet that's like 3 seconds, like, okay, they watch a 10-minute YouTube video and they can actually hear me speak, they can hear my tonality, they can see me articulate myself. That's a lot more powerful than if someone just reads a 3 second tweet.
hmm.
So who's going to be top of mind when they have a problem they want solved? Oh, Dakota solves that problem. I'm going to go to him.
Hmm.
So it's really like taking, like, you want to take up that mental headspace, that mental real estate. And I think newsletters are super powerful for that. I think it's also higher quality people on your newsletter as well. Like they're subscribing to your newsletter because they want to hear your thoughts in depth. It's just they're going to their inbox. It's more intimate, I find. It's like there's no noise.
What's some lead magnets that have worked well for you to like get initial like subs?
I did a tweet templates one, like anything where you can do it for them, like any like templates, um checklists. I haven't done checklists, but I know that would work well. I've done videos like master classes on brand building, on mindset, on social media growth. Um, those are like really long ones, though. I don't know if I would use those again. I think anything where you can give them a quick win, I think those are ideal.
Mm,
I just built a 10-day email course.
mm.
So when they subscribe, they're going to get a 10-day email course, and I'll plug that in. I'll see how that converts. But I know the email courses do well.
Out of curiosity, when you put people, because I'm new to Beehive, and this is probably good for people that are new to Beehive as well. But like, if when you're doing the like, if you put them in this like 10-step sequence or whatever, do they start getting the regular emails on like Saturdays too, or how do you look at that? I guess I don't know if I'm getting too in the weeds of like. Sometimes when I'm new at things, I probably go like a little bit too deep on things, which is something I realize about myself that I need to work on.
I don't even know. I'm just going to test it. That was the one thing I noticed with the top performers that I became friends with. They just throw shit at a wall, see what works, and then they optimize from there. And then myself, I've noticed a pattern in the past where I would just procrastinate by trying to make it perfect, how to optimize this. I need the perfect plan. And then you have the Chad dude making 100, 200K a month, just walk in, yeah, let's just run it, let's see how it goes, and go from there. And they're making all this money. It's so funny.
I
It's
think
literally
there
the
is.
bell curve meme.
I think it's like that thing though of like just the less you give a fuck, the more easy it gets for some reason or whatever. I don't know like what it is. Like getting out of your own way, and I do believe in like some sort of spiritual thing too, like as well, like as far as like just having a big vision, but also like providing value or like not to overuse the word value, but if like you're really like giving people transformations, like you are, like when you're showing people how to make money online, or showing people how to like write a book or start a podcast or to crush a self-limiting belief to help them out. I think it's a really powerful thing.
I'm part-time therapist with my job. But
Totally.
like it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like I
Yeah.
went through the same stuff, and like I can empathize with that. Like yeah, at the end of the day, you're creating a transformation for people, and whether it is an emotional one, a mental one, or a skill transformation, that's what it all comes down to. And that's why I try to articulate to everybody when I teach them about social media. It's all about transformation. Like you have to take them from pain point to a desired outcome, and then all the steps in between. That's your content. And
Mhm.
I think like even like business, you're inducing a transformation for somebody. Maybe you're making them more money. You're getting them fit. Whatever it is, it's all comes down to transformation. And like think about your own content. So you talk about your story. Well, it's transformation. How I went from pain point. I had stakes. There was struggle, build up, climax, and then resolution, and ultimately transformation. So it all boils down to transformation.
Yeah, that's fair. I got one last question for you. What I guess couple things would you give advice for someone that's got, I don't know, say a couple thousand followers on LinkedIn, they're a creator, but they're still working a normal W2 job and they're wanting to monetize, and they have something that they can monetize. Like how would you approach it?
Yeah, put all your money in crypto and meme coins. Don't
Solana?
ask questions. Just no, fuck Solana. You put it on put base chain, baby.
Base
No one
chain.
knows what it is. Yeah. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's not financial advice, so I'll take that.
No. That's spiritual advice.
Yes.
um,
Ayahuasca.
no, yeah, yeah, that's a rabbit hole. Um, I highly recommend this way. I like try to tell everybody, try to articulate it to everybody I talk to. Like that's a beginner. Few people listen to me. That's okay. Whatever. Learn a skill that solves people's problems. The only reason people consume content or will buy from you is because they're incentivized. And
Mhm.
the biggest thing that incentivizes people to buy or follow you or send you feed pics, whatever, is if you solve pain points. That's the number one thing. And that's the
Mhm.
thing I wish I knew when I started. If you solve people's pain points, they value you. And if they value you, they will follow you, engage with you, they will pay or buy your stuff. And that's the way. So, how do you become valuable? You learn a skill that solves people's pain points and helps them get to a desired outcome. For me, I learned how to write and I learned social media. I became a ghostwriter and I grew people's social medias, helped them grow their following and made them feel validated, warm and fuzzy inside, all of that. Some people made more money from it, whatever. That was mine. Some people are fitness coaches and they have the skill of fitness or like getting jacked, whatever, and they show people how to lose fat, build muscle, and have a transformation. So if you do not have a skill or something that can help people, you're gonna have a really bad time on social media. You're gonna
Mhm.
have a bad time.
Mhm.
Um,
There's the
so
3
I
things,
try
right,
to,
too? They're, like, the 3
yeah,
things, like, with, like doesn't, like, Hormozi say, like, health, wealth, and relationships or something like that? It's kinda
relationships.
like the buckets?
Yeah. Yeah, I usually tell people health and wealth because I don't know too many successful people that should be telling people how to date or sex advice or whatever. Like, I think it's harder unless you're like an actual expert or you like actually like done the stuff. I feel like most people aren't relationship experts, so I would tell them health or wealth. Like that's like the best. I think the easiest.
The person with, like, 3 divorces is a relationship coach type of thing?
Well, it's funny, man. Like people, the biggest thing I notice is the people that have done the least in life. They want to be life coaches, or they want to just talk about broad self development stuff because they've read a bunch of books. You know who people listen to when it comes to self development? People that actually done some crazy shit in life, built crazy businesses, or did X, Y, and Z. Not the person that's read a bunch of books. So if you've only read books, go learn a skill, go do some cool stuff, and then you could be the self-development dude or woman. But I think that path is hard, and that's why people avoid it. They just want to quote books and all that. And I try to tell people, I'm like, you got to go out and do stuff. You got to actually be useful to society in some way, and then you document what you're learning to people, and it's just a lot easier in the medium to long term.
Totally
But
fair. So, Dakota, where do we send people if they want to join one of your programs like Growth Ghost and follow you on LinkedIn and all that good stuff, Twitter?
I would go to my Twitter. That's where I'm most active at Wrongs to Right. WRONGSTORWRIT. I don't know why I spelt it all out. That's where I'm most active, but YouTube as well. Dakota Robertson. LinkedIn, yeah, I'm active, but I don't check messages too much on there.
Got it. Well, thanks for your time, sir.
Yes, thank you, good sir. Appreciate you.